Hey YouTube, I'm here to do a spoiler review of X-Men Days of Future Past. And bear with me, got a haircut so I look a little funky. But yeah, just this heads up if you're watching, as earlier mentioned, I am doing a spoiler review, so I will be ruining some parts of the movie for those of you who haven't seen it. Just to jump right into it, X-Men Days of Future Past. I will say right up front that this is the best X-Men film ever made, and the flavor of it is absolutely, you can easily tell this is made by Bryan Singer right away, because the opening the opening music, the score of it is basically the same as X2 in the beginning, which is awesome. It's Bryan Singer just saying, this is my franchise, I'm gonna jump in and just start fixing everything. And the best way to do that is, of course, literally change the timeline. And the best way to do that is with Days of Future Past. Synopsis on what Days of Future Past is: it starts in a dystopian future where the Sentinels have taken over the world, and they're hunting both mutants and the humans who harbor them. And yeah, it just destroys the world. I mean, you start in New York, and it's just dark. Then you go to Moscow, and then, yeah, well, back to the synopsis. In the comics, Kitty Pryde is one sent back in time. In the movie, Wolverine is one sent back in time. So, I think it's a good choice, because Wolverine has been the front man of the X-Men franchise for the entire X-Men franchise. And Hugh Jackman has been great. And just to keep this one a little bit shorter than my normal ones, I'll just get right into what I liked and what I didn't like. Let's just start with what I didn't like. Wolverine had to stay calm throughout the movie so they can maintain the psychic bridge. And he didn't really rage out as much as he did in any other of the X-Men films. And that's something us fans of Wolverine really look forward to, him just impaling people with his claws often. And so it was a bit odd to see Wolverine in like a calm down self of himself. And it was odd to see him as the voice of reason in this. So I didn't really like that. Other things I didn't like, I thought Ellen Page was weak in it. I don't know what was really wrong with her performance necessarily, but I just felt like, yeah, it was weak. And I didn't like Omar Sy as Bishop, because I mean, if you guys ever watched the original X-Men cartoons or read the X-Men comics by Jim Lee in the 90s, Bishop is a really huge part of the Sentinel storyline. And he's a grizzled war vet and is a gun-toting Sam Jackson type. And in the movie, Omar Sy is portraying Bishop as, I mean, with his accent, which I don't know if it's French or Jamaican, but his accent throws it all off. And Bishop, being as important he is in the whole future preventing Sentinels from taking over storyline thing, it's really off-putting to have him as just some weak, accented character. So I didn't like that. And I also think, yes, the beginning was awesome. And the Sentinels, you know, the Mystique Sentinels coming in and just destroying everyone, was really cool to see. But I wish we spent more time in the future. It was just kind of odd to see them in the beginning in Moscow, and then all of a sudden in China. And a Warpath. Warpath needed to be big and buff and more mean looking than kind of just this scrawny Native American guy who, I don't even know what his, I mean, I guess his power was he can see really far, But I always thought Warpath was super strong, so that was weak. Um, yeah, and I think that covers all the bases in terms of what I really didn't like about the movie. It was just really off-putting. But what definitely overwhelmed the dislike was the like. Uh, Days of Future Past, as mentioned in my video, the top 5 movies of the year and top 5 Marvel movies of the year, Days of Future Past is one of the most ambitious movies ever made. And some people would cite the Avengers as extremely ambitious, but Days of Future Past is also extremely ambitious. And there were tons of characters in it. And the balance of characters, important characters in this movie, was actually balanced out very well. And on top of that, just the balance and pace of the movie was done very well. Um, and what I liked about this too, over any of the other X-Men, is the chemistry between the mutants was amazing, especially between the younger Magneto and the younger Xavier. I forget the actor's name who was Xavier. I should remember this, but Michael Fassbender, I think, was my favorite character in the whole movie. One of my favorite scenes was when the young Magneto and the young Xavier were arguing on an airplane, and then Magneto starts crashing the airplane and screaming at him. One character which it's really funny. When we saw his Entertainment Weekly ad, Quicksilver, everyone was like, "Oh, they're just totally gonna ruin Quicksilver." But I thought Quicksilver was one of the best parts of the whole movie. His scene in helping Magneto escape from the Pentagon was incredible, and one of my favorite parts easily. But and also I really like the fan service there, where he says to Magneto, "Hey, my mom used to know someone who could bend metal." Huh. And total fan service, because Magneto didn't know about Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch until he knew them for many years. Even when they were in the Brotherhood of Mutants underneath Magneto, he didn't know about them for many years. And in fact, it may have been when Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch were in the Avengers that he found out that they were even related. So totally awesome that he found out that. And you can even tell when Quicksilver's mom was watching the news at the end, she was looking like, "Huh, I know that guy. He could be Quicksilver's son." So I really like that. And everything was done very classily. And as I mentioned earlier, in Bryan Singer fashion. And I was really worried about, like I mentioned earlier, just the pace about it. But it was spaced out really nicely, and I feel like they didn't really force anything, except exposition and some. I will add that to my list of things I didn't like. At the beginning, it made sense because for anyone who doesn't know the Days of Future Past storyline, they would be like, "What the hell is going on?" in the beginning. But there were some parts that were definitely forced exposition, like when they were using after they used Cerebro, Xavier was like, "Oh, we have to go to Washington D.C. because she's gonna be there." And oh yeah, and that also reminds me, why didn't Xavier just mind control Mystique every time she's about to shoot Trask? I mean, I knew the first time because he didn't have his powers because he was using that serum, but it was frustrating to me. Like, Xavier, Mystique kills people. She may have it in her to change, but you're risking the entire future by not mind controlling Mystique right now. And that to me was just yeah, part of Xavier's character, of his faith in people, but it was just too much at that point. And what I really like about Bryan Singer and Days of Future Past, which this movie did very good, and what Bryan Singer always does really good, is a really strong third act. And when citing third act in superhero movies, people always talk about how great the Avengers third act is, but really, the Avengers third act is just 45 minutes of them fighting aliens, which can be entertaining, but at the end of it, you're like, well, nothing really happened until the last 5 minutes. Whereas in the Days of Future Past third act, everything is really pushed together really smoothly, and there were like 3 different parallels with Wolverine and Beast fighting Sentinels, and at the same time Xavier trapped under rubble while Magneto is lifting the stadium and landing it around the White House and about to shoot the president and his men. Whereas at the same time going on, you have the future storyline where you have Colossus getting ripped in half and there being different lines of defense and just killing off all the Sentinels he can, and then all of a sudden all of them appear. Yeah, that was an extremely awesome and probably one of my favorite third acts of movies ever. And easily one of the best parts. Oh wait, no, easily the best part of the movie, just in terms of sheer entertainment value. The suspense was there. There was a lot of plot that had to get unraveled at the end, and it was definitely unraveled at the correct pace. And then, of course, you have the ending, which all the X-Men fans loved, because it was just a repair and redemption of X3, no one's favorite X-Men movie. And Wolverine going over to now Phoenix and about to touch her hair, and then Cyclops, grabs his hand like, "Hey, buddy, don't touch her," and then Wolverine goes and says, "Oh, Cyclops, good to see you," which he would never say, but, if he didn't know he was there for that long, of course he would say that. And in closing, end credit scene, Apocalypse, oh my gosh, a lot of X-Men cartoon fans were saying, "What the heck, Apocalypse is supposed to be big and buff," and it's like, no, not Apocalypse from 3,000 years ago. Original Apocalypse, the first mutant ever Apocalypse, was skinny and stuff, and then he didn't add the biomechanics until many years later, like thousands of years later. So, yeah, done perfectly, and sets us up. Definitely excited for 2016 Apocalypse, and I hope Ian McKellen makes it that far. Because Ian McKellen was shown his age. He was old in 2001 when X1 came out, so I hope he's able to reprise his role for Apocalypse, because Magneto is extremely important in Apocalypse. And what has also been announced is in 2015, X-Force is coming out. So we will see Cable, so I do hope that Phoenix, aka Jean Grey, aka Cyclops' wife, I hope they get married and have a baby, and that so Cable can come out and come back from the future. Yeah, a lot of promising things for the future of the X-Men franchise. And some people are saying that there's just been too many, there's just been too many Wolverine movies, but X-Men has yet to wrap because it has so much potential. I think they can definitely end it on Apocalypse, but I don't know, we'll see. Bryan Singer definitely brings it in this. He definitely brings us flavor, he brings his prowess, and it definitely feels the most like what an X-Men film, or X-Men anything should be out of any of the X-Men movies. And at some points you're definitely like, oh, there's too many characters in this, but the important characters stood out, and that's what's important. So overall, I give this a B+, and I'm just knocking it for just what I wanted to see in it, really. More Bishop, and more Wolverine rage. But all the pros definitely outweighed the cons. Yeah, that's it for me. Let me know in the comments what would you like to see in X-Men? No, I'm sorry. What would you like to see in terms of me reviewing online here on YouTube? And hit me up in the comments, and we'll see if we can make it happen. And for the rest of everything, I'll see you around, YouTube.